So today we're in London for the United Kingdom rally that was organised by Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson was arrested yesterday under counter-terrorism charges and is currently being held in custody until his court case on Monday morning for contempt of court for breaching the injunction by showing you his banned documentary. I'm here, I'm going to collect interviews and I'm going to keep you updated.
My name is McGovern, Chief Presenter of Vox Popular, and I'm here with Ezra Levant of Rebel Media. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I got in this morning. I'm a little jet lagged, but I made it to the Tommy Robinson rally. Tommy Robinson, of course, is in jail. A very political move by the British police, and I think it doesn't look good on them. I mean, the movie that Tommy debuted today is literally called Lawfare, a totalitarian state. And I think the government sort of proved his point.
Yesterday we saw that Tommy Robinson, was held under counter-terrorism legislation where they questioned him for hours, and under those laws, you cannot refuse to give information, right? So are you concerned that this terror legislation that we've called for, because we have called for it in the fight against Islam, is being used against British citizens?
Well, it's a major problem. I mean, I'm sure that all right-minded citizens would support the police in their attempts to keep us all safe and protect us from terrorists. But the one thing that we do know is that Tommy isn't one of those. So, yes, it's worrying. The guy's flown home from Spain. He's answered bail. He's not a flight risk. He's going to be there Monday. There was absolutely no need for them to keep him over the weekend. It was spiteful.
So this has been the third of Tommy Robinson's rallies, but it's quite a shame that he's not here today, but then yet people have still come out in very strong support of him.
Yeah, he's got a huge supporting, and I think, whether him being here or not, they were still going to come. But of course he would have loved to have been here, but when he sees everything back, he's going to be so pleased.
It's like he's lit the fire of the movement that's now started.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think this movement's going to be able to be stopped, with or without Tommy, because, in my opinion, and I think Tommy will agree, it's much bigger than him. It's not about him, it's about what's going on in the country. But of course people look at him as a leader because we don't have a political party, apart from UKIP now, that want to, kind of lead it politically.
So what I found really interesting was Tommy Robinson being held by the police the day before the rally takes place. Do you think that's a coincidence?
No, I don't. I think he is a political prisoner. I've been saying that since he went into prison for the contempt of court back with the Leeds case. What was that, 2019? I can't remember exactly when that happened now. But yeah, he's a political prisoner. And I'm not speaking today because they've got a full house. I would have been pleased to if they've had me. But one of the things I was going to say is that this is a complete misuse of the Terrorism Act. And in fact, Tommy says when the police arrested him, they said, "We know you're not engaged in terrorism, but we've arrested you under this because we can make you you have to answer any question we ask, and they have to give us your phone and the PIN number." And he refused. And the reason he refused, as he'll tell you, is because he has confidential information on there about rape gang victims. And the last time he shared information with the police, somehow or other, mysteriously, it ended up in the hands of the rape gangs.
A great man like Tommy Robinson has been sent to prison for showing the public the documentary that is banned in Britain. The documentary that proves his innocence. What do you think about it all?
I just think that if you want to survive in this country, you have to stay low, tell a lie, and don't tell anybody what the truth is. You're not allowed to tell the public what's incoming, what threat is already here, and what's incoming. What Tommy did, he told the people what we are going through and what's coming up. And that's what this establishment don't want people to know.
So I want to ask you a quick question about your sign. So Labour stop funding war. What do you mean by that?
Stop supplying money to Israel and Ukraine for weapons, and the money should be spent here. We don't want wars. We don't want wars.
So you just finished doing a speech on the stage. What was that about?
Basically, I just wanted to speak about my experience with reform, because when people were approaching me in the general election and asking me if I supported Tommy, I said no, because I don't support racists. But then enough people approached me that I thought I've got to dig into this, because there's a lot of people supporting this guy. So I found out, obviously, that Tommy's not a racist. I watched his documentaries, I saw what he was doing, and I felt the need to do a video to apologise to him, which I didn't expect him to actually see, but he did, and he shared it. And Reform then responded by kicking me out of the party and removing me as a spokesperson for Stourbridge. So, yeah, I I can't say it was a massive surprise because I think Reform have pandered quite a lot to the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing. It's not what people were voting for when they voted for Reform. So that's why now I'm putting my support behind UKIP.
Carl, I mean, Tommy's been arrested just as of yesterday. The timing, I mean, they could have arrested him when he came off the plane. Do you think it was all deliberate?
Well, any action the state takes is conscious and willful. They can choose to forgive or overlook anything they want, which is why Starmer released a couple of thousand criminals far earlier than they ought to have done, and really not very nice people either.
Well, we talk about the criminals that he released. Well, men like Peter Lynch, who weren't involved in the actual rioting, were sent into mostly Muslim prisons where they have now, unfortunately, committed suicides. You've got many other people who are in prison at the moment getting targeted by these Islamic gangs. Do you have a message to the families of those people?
This is how the state kills dissidents. They don't do it like in Russia where they just shoot or make them disappear. They put you under immense amounts of pressure and kill yourself. So be aware.
As a British veteran, can you tell me what does it mean to you to be British?
I can't answer that question more passionately because the system let me down. I was a veteran for 10 years and a private contractor. Whilst I was in the services, I was actually kicked out of the British Army and made homeless because I committed an offence. Okay, I did commit an offence. However, the offence that I made, other soldiers did, but I had PTSD at the time. I went to court, I pleaded guilty. The British authorities, the establishment, decided to make me dishonourably discharged with post-traumatic stress disorder after coming home from Afghanistan. And not only that, whilst I was in Afghanistan, I had a warrant out for my arrest for attempting to pervert the course of justice because I missed my first court appearance whilst I was at war in Afghanistan. So this, I can't say how much it means to me. I beat the system. I took the army to court, I took the establishment to court and I got a medical discharge for PTSD. Hence my book, Morphology Home, my first book of two. I'm ashamed, but I'm proud, if that makes sense, you know. I'm ashamed of the system, but I'm proud to be English. I'm proud to be a soldier. Would I fight for the country anymore in this state? No way. No way. This country doesn't deserve good people. I've had fallen people, I've had friends who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for this. And where are they? You know what I mean? And their families, it's heartbreaking, mate. It's heartbreaking.
Now, I've asked a lot of people today, and they've all told me, when I ask them what does it mean to be British, a lot of them, they don't know. They feel like they've lost their British identity. And especially young people in particular, they don't know what it means to be British. In your own words, what do you think it means to be British?
For Britain, the history, our cultures, traditions, heritage, the list goes on. If somebody really, you know what I mean, the people who really know what's happening to this country and what we've got to lose if this country collapses and fails to foreign lands, then you got that statue there now, Mr. Winston Churchill. Do you think that what would have been going on in this country would be happening now if this man was here? Now, how has people changed? How has our religion's been diluted from this country? How come that we are in this position now where what we've been brought up and instilled as children, well, me, grown up as in the 80s, born in the 80s, how is it that what we've been instilled is completely different to what they're trying to teach children in schools now? And what, you know what I mean, what there's a lot of humans now, adults, parents that are teaching children wrong now.
To me, what is it to be British?
It's more relevant than ever. You can
Yeah, see, to me, there's no answer to that. I'm a proud patriot. I'm proud of my country. That makes me proud to be British, yeah? I can't give you a specific reason why. I just love my country, hate what it's become, and that's it, darling.
I'm here with the security team of the event today. So what's your role? What are you doing?
Well, basically, we're here looking after everybody, making sure everyone that gets up and speaks gets here safely, gets home safely. Everybody, we want everyone up there talking, telling the truth, being nice, having a lovely day, entertaining the crowd, and then everyone gets home safe. We're happy. That's what it's all about.
Peaceful day.
Nice
It's on a very
peaceful day.
peaceful day.
Because you'll have some outlets today who are not here who will report that this is a football hooligan rally. And Tom, that was the Evening Standard. He said Tommy Robinson leads far-right football hooligan rally.
For starters, I hate football.
Yeah.
So I absolutely hate football. We're not football supporters.
And this guy, right, okay, who's an absolute diamond. He's not exactly white either. Yeah, right, yeah. And I love him, right, yeah. And there's a guy in there.
Must be a far right hooligan as well. Then a 72-year-old woman, she's definitely not far right.
Exactly. And there's a black guy,
young, old, black, white, Asian.
There's a black guy in there, and this is the God's honest truth, right? I've met him about 2 or 3 times. He's on our security detail now, Craig. Yeah. And after meeting him 2 times, he said to me, "I want you to come to my wedding." I was in New York, and I tell you what, I was going to cancel my holiday to New York to go to his wedding. Listen, if you've got red, white, and blue in your heart, you're welcome here. I don't care what colour you are.
I've seen a lot of people as well. They feel like they've lost their British identity, especially the younger generation. They don't know what it means to be British. So, what do you think it means to be British?
Well, first off, know the national anthem. All right, stand up when the national anthem's on. Know the words. You see the England football players, half of them don't even know the bloody words. You know what I mean? Well, they mumble. Have some pride. Also, you know, if you say you're English, you're English. If you're Scottish, you're Scottish, Welsh, whatever. You know what I mean? You know, I'm English, that's where I'm from. And it shouldn't be a bad thing. You know, you should be proud of where you come from.
I wanted to ask you first about your music. Yes. Because I feel like music, you can tell such a strong message from it, and it resonates with people as well. And, you know, we're trying to, I don't want to say fight, but there's a massive cultural, peaceful revolution going on right now. What's the importance of music plays in that?
So music is, if you understand the dynamics of music, it's something that goes straight to your soul. So it enters your ears, it goes straight to the soul. There's no barriers, there's no kind of preconception. It just enters quickly. So music is something that can unite people in a big way, and that's what we're seeing today. And with the whole movement of the Uniting the Kingdom, is that music is central to unite the people, to bring them together, even if they're singing together, even if they're enjoying together. Music has that uniting power, you know?
People out there claim that we are racist, that we are divisive. Now you've just mentioned it. Music unites people, and you've been on I think the past 2 now, isn't it? Where you've sung and you've performed. How have you found it? Have you found that people have been divisive, or have they been united against the one core issue that divides us?
Yeah, I've not seen one bit of racism. I've not seen one bit of fascism. I've not seen one evidence of far right. I've just seen people that love Britain, that love this country, and you've got people of all different racial heritages here. Even in my music group, where, you know, it's all mixed race people from lots of different backgrounds. My own wife is in the team today singing with me. Did I say a wife? I mean beautiful wife. And you know, she's originally from Zimbabwe, you know? So this is a place that's welcoming for everybody, except people that would want to cause trouble. But everybody else is welcome, and you have people here from America, France, all over the place, all willing to stand together, united, because of the leading of Tommy Robinson, and wanting to stand for the culture and the heritage of this country, and that's a good thing, you know?
So to you, what does it mean to be British?
The formulation of the question is a bit of a problem, because it implies that there's a set criteria that you could move out of and lose your Britishness if you were to be wrong in some way when it comes to fulfilling them. Being British is something that you inherit from your parents, from a long line of people before you, and you can't change it, and someone can't just adopt it. It's a part of who you are. The only thing that can be done is to be administratively British, a civic identity. A piece of paper says, oh, this person has a British passport. But it's not the same as being ethnically British, and we shouldn't be debating, we shouldn't be discussing.
So, what's been your highlight of today so far?
Well, it's exciting that Tommy managed to turn around a documentary on those race riots and the police response so quickly. So that is sort of the wow moment today. I'm also impressed with the turnout. Despite the police interference, it was still thousands of people here. I am very troubled by one thing, though. The rule by which the police arrested Tommy was from the Terrorism Act of 2000, I think. And going from memory was Section 7 that allows the police to interrogate anyone where they don't have the right to remain silent and to seize documents or cell phones. And this is a very unusual thing in the UK because to be searched you need a warrant or some sort of probable cause. And this law is an exception to that. And it's meant for a ticking time bomb situation with the terrorists where you can't wait on legal niceties because there are lives and deaths in the balance. So for the police to misuse an anti-terrorism law to get into the personal cell phone of a political opponent and journalist is so troubling. And yet I have not seen a single journalist or political figure speak out against it. If it were the BBC or the Daily Mail or the Times of London, whose lead reporter was treated this way, it would be a national crisis. And yet, the establishment seems like they're fine. Maybe I missed something. Maybe there's been some champion of civil liberties, but I haven't seen it.
Now, I wanted to start off this conversation by talking about Peter Lynch.
Yeah, sure.
In Tommy's interview with you, right, he mentions he's had voice notes crying from mothers, where they've talked about a lot of these men who've been imprisoned for attending a riot. Maybe it was a lot of them went to peaceful protest and it turned out to be a riot. And these men have been beaten in the prisons. They've been beaten in the showers by gangs of Muslim men. And recently we had the suicide of Peter Lynch. I mean, what do you think about the political persecution of a lot of these individuals at the moment? And you got Operation, the Operation Early Dawn to release prisoners. What do you think about all of this?
I think it's a disgrace, personally. I think it's such a shame because I was working for the Publica at the time, contributing, and we broke the story about a particular gentleman who was part of a gang and actually murdered or stabbed or macheted I believe it was a 13, 14-year-old boy to death. And he was part of the scheme to be let out, to be released. And so when we broke that story, and it was during the high-tension riots that were happening, I mean, it's hard to... when you're a journalist, sometimes you have to sit there and just do the story, and you're quite numb to it all, because you're constantly being fed bad news all the time. There's never any good news. So when covering that story, it was very, very hard not to get emotional. Very, very difficult. Especially with Peter Lynch. I think he was unfairly persecuted by the media as well. I ran 2 articles from the BBC specifically through AI, ChatGPT, to ask ChatGPT for a bias and frame check of the articles to see whether they are being impartial, because the BBC claims that they are impartial, they're an impartial source of news. So let's put that to the test. It came back with demonisation, complete lack of regard or empathy for Peter Lynch from the moment he was imprisoned to his death as well. A lot of it was mainly focusing on his crimes, quote unquote, the crime of speech, and that was overshadowing his death. Now I think that's an absolute disgrace. So that's why I decided to go through it and post it online for people to see, and it got a reaction that was to be expected.
And I'm here with Collective Nemesis. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Yona, Alice, Anaïs, and Melissa.
So what does your organisation do?
And we fight against judicial laxity, against insecurity, and the impact of the immigration in France, and the culture they brought in. There's a massive immigration, and the impact to this have on the security of women.
So how did your collective, how did it start?
The collective was created 5 years ago by 7 young women. They were tired of mainstream feminism, and they decided to speak and to talk about what the other feminists don't talk about the immigration, the aggressors, and their profiles, and that's it.
So why have you guys come out in support of Tommy Robinson at his rally today?
Because we feel like free speech is also something we're experiencing, because we're always being accused of being racist because we're saying the truth about who are the offenders in crimes in France. So it's kind of the same thing, you know. We can't speak the truth, and if we just can't speak the truth. Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of young people go in the direction of Marxism and cultural Marxism and wokeism. And the problem with Marxism is that it completely eradicates God. They want to remove God from the equation entirely. They want a godless society. And, you know, I can see a bunch of I can see a bunch of negatives with having a godless society. First of all is that people are less moral. And that's what we're seeing at the moment in the UK. You know, we become godless by becoming secular. And so I'm seeing less people have their hold to their convictions, right? Why, in your opinion, do you think more young people are not buying into religion, and why are they going down the route of Marxism and woke ideologies?
Really good question. So, when I get to talk to young people, they are surprised when I start to talk to them about theology, who God is, that God has placed eternity in our hearts, that actually Jesus says he is the way, the truth, the life, and start to unpack who Jesus is, eyes start to open. The problem is that our universities have been infiltrated by cultural Marxism particularly, and we've been sent down this woke agenda of ideology and goodness, but there is no goodness outside of God. God is good. And so what happens is these people go on a trajectory and on a journey and get partway down the road and wonder why it's not working for them. And it's because they have been fed a narrative. Christian unions in universities and in schools are squeezed in so many ways. But we're not showing young people the dynamism that's Jesus. That's what we're not doing.
And a lot of people I've spoken to today, they feel like they've lost their British identity and that Tommy's bringing it back, right? But what I've noticed in particular is that it's especially among the younger generation where they feel lost. They have no British identity. They don't know what it means to be British. So why do you think that is? And to you, what does it mean to be British?
It's good questions. Now, with regards to people feeling a loss of identity, you can attribute that to so many things. You can use mass migration is obviously one of the biggest issues. On top of this, Tommy even said it during the interview, it's not cool to be British. It's not trendy to be British. The long march through the institutions have already happened. So therefore, through academia, a lot of it is focused on negatives towards Britain and Britain's history, where we should be proud and we should learn from British history as well. The lack of Christianity as well in this country, the foundation that has built this nation through Jesus Christ and his teachings from the Sermon on the Mount throughout the entire of the Old and the New Testament. So it's eroding because not only is it not cool, and it's easy to hate your own country, to hate your own culture, but also it's being taught by academia, by teachers, through all the way down to activists online. And then you ask me, what does it mean to be British? Well, it's a tough one to answer, I'll be honest with you. The reason why it's tough is because we've never had a solid definition of what being British is. It's always to do with values. You go through the values and it's tolerance, democracy. You know, it's one of those things where it's not been formulated properly. Whereas I can easily tell you, I know what it means to be English. I know exactly what it means to be English. I know exactly for other people what it means to be Scottish, Welsh, Irish. But Britain, if I'm to formulate an argument, or to formulate what it means, is the union between English, Scottish, Northern Irish and Welsh together. All of those cultures mixed to one. So that's what it means.